Well, squaddies, welcome back once again to the Shattered Isles and the Fearless Slayer's Bestiary. As always, I am D, and today, just like I mentioned last week after we managed to beat the Drask, we're looking today for the Nayzaga. Now, what the Nayzaga is, if you want to think about it this way, it is a cousin somewhat related to the Quillshot. In fact, you can see it there in the distance. So instead of being like a tusked boar, this is more like a giant lizard. However, it does use spines as well. But the Nayzaga is also similar to the Drask, a thunder beast. In fact, there you see its opening salvo, the thunderbolts. It uses that a couple of times, but it uses that as the opening attack. You want to dodge those. They're pretty easy to dodge because they're not very quick moving, despite being, lightning. Now this is the Nayzaga's big thing, the shock spines. Just like the Quillshot, it can fire its spines out of its back at a great distance, but it doesn't aim for the Slayers. Instead, it launches them out, and they will stay in the ground, where they will periodically charge up and fire off lightning balls. These lightning balls deal a good amount of damage and shock, so you want to be careful with that. There goes the belly crawl. The tail on this is insanely subtle. All it does is pause for a second, then drop to its stomach. Actually, it might have 9 attacks instead of the 8 I originally thought. Oh wait, no, I do have that marked. Oh, this is a big attack. These are the thunder spines. Now, you really only want 2 people to do this, but our team is doing it with 3. What this is, these 5 spines will do that. When they're hit with the thunderbolts, they will charge, and they also charge up the Nayzaga. If you break them, the Nayzaga this is your opportunity for the Nayzaga. Is hitting it while it's down from breaking the thunder spines. I'll talk a little bit more in depth when I get a chance, but for right now, I've really got to focus on not dying. Oh, we got 2 people down. Shite! Luckily, like I said, the shock spines don't actually go for Slayers. Or they're not aimed at Slayers. Alright, that body slam, it's just like the Quillshot, so I don't really need to go over that. I'm not really going to go over that too much. Alright, again, the belly crawl, like I said, very subtle, just drops to its stomach, does this, it always does a 2 thing. It might be able to do a 3rd, I'm not sure. There's the lunging swipe, where the Nayzaga kind of rears back a little bit and then lunges at one of the targets with its claws. Alright, we got 2 people on those. I'm going to go over here and help out with the Nayzaga, which actually is enraging. This is a very dangerous time because, again, it's a fast thing. Oh, it does actually have a 9th attack. That's spin. There we go. But like I said, the lunging swipe, it draws a leg back, kind of jumps up a little bit, and then lunges forward. It actually has a very deceptive range, so you want to be careful. And no, you cannot, unless I mistime that shot. The tail swipe, again, it's just like the Quillshot's version. Again, with the belly slam. But anyway, the difference between the shock spines and the thunder spines. The shock spines, it launches out in pairs. 2 spines that will stick in the ground for a long time. I recommend having at least one person on your team getting ready to destroy them at all times, so just so you can be ready. That right there is how the thunder spines look. Where it fires off these 5 spines at a high angle. They're not aimed to hit again, and then the thunderbolts come out. Now you'll notice a lightning bolt going between the thunder spines and the Nayzaga. That is the activation of a buff mode it has, which you'll notice is when its spikes are out. That mode is what I like to call thunder charged. Basically, all it does is add, I think, a little bit of chance for shock damage to its regular attacks. I tried my damnedest to avoid that, but it didn't work. I'm probably gonna go down here. Yep, there I go. One thing about the Enrage on the Nayzaga is that it does seem more prone to using things like Thunder Spines and Thunder Charge. Or, not Thunder Spines and Thunder Charge, Thunderbolt. It also does have that little Fist Slam, where it just kind of draws back a leg. Oh, bugger. I charged that too long. It's actually got more attacks than I thought it did. I am sorry for my mistake. Okay, the Fist Slam, like I said, just raises up its front leg, slams it down. And it's escaping. Alright, I'm actually going to use this time to talk a little bit about the attacks, because I have been having to panic mode a little bit. Okay, nobody wants the Ether Rift, I'll take some. The last one. Anyway, Shock Spines, like I said, it launches them out just like the Quillshot's Mortar Spines, but they're not aimed at Slayers. They'll form in pairs and land and stay in the ground. There's actually a cell you can use that will up your damage to things like the spines that drop, as well as the ice wall for the Scrave. If you know you're going to be hunting one of these things a lot, I recommend using one of those. The Thunderbolt, it usually opens each round with it. I didn't see it this round, but I don't know why it keeps spinning around like that, but hey. There's the Thunderbolts. The claw swipe to the side, where you saw it kind of raise back one leg. That's the lunging swipe. Tail swipe. Fist slam. The body slam. And I'm gonna actually get hit by that because now, yeah, it can enrage just flat out like that. Luckily, it doesn't actually gain any new attacks as far as I've seen when it's enraged. It's just a standard buff. The Thunder Spines, like I said, they launch at a very high angle. You see they form a storm cloud up in the air. And then they charge the Nayzaga. I'm actually going to try and demonstrate something with the ball lightning if I can. I cannot. But the ball lightning, if you time it right with your weapon attacks, you can actually reflect the ball lightning back at the spines or even at the Nayzaga. If you can reflect it at either one, it can actually do quite a bit of damage. And remember, being shocked actually prevents you from using items or interacting with the world. So if you're shocked and you're the only one up, congrats, you're not getting your teammates up for a bit. Also, I really just realized that Nayzaga is actually quite a bit smaller than the Quillshot. Like I said, Thunder Charge seems to be mostly a buff aimed at getting some shock damage into the Nayzaga's basic attacks. And there we go. The Nayzaga is down. This doesn't take it's a dangerous beast, but it's not super strong. It's not super tanky. Alright, so it actually had more attacks than I originally told you guys. I'm sorry about that. That is my mistake. Alright, so the shock spines, like I was saying, it launches out just like in the rapid fire mode, just like the Quillshot, but they don't aim for you. They form pairs, land on the ground, and they stick around for quite a long time unless you destroy them, which you saw me doing a lot. Now, at intervals while they're in the ground, they build up a charge that fires off as a ball of lightning at some random slayer. Usually that's the one that's closest, or the one that was closest when they landed. Not always, though. Remember, you can reflect the ball lightning either at the Nayzaga or at the spines. Next up, Thunderbolts. Usually used when the Nayzaga has Thunder Spines active, but also used as the opening attack when you're closing the distance. You kind of see it where it kind of does a quick circle on the ground. It kind of does a quick belly crawl in a circle, and then launches out a series of Thunderbolts in a marching line. They're relatively easy to get away from, but they'll do some pretty decent damage, so don't get hit. The Thunder Spines. It launches a series of spines high in the air at a very high angle, and they create a storm cloud that then zaps the ground with lightning. Once that's done, 5 spines will be in the ground, and if they get hit by thunderbolts, they charge for a moment and will release ball lightning, just like the shock spines do. They also activate Thunder Charged. Once those spines come out, they'll launch a bolt of lightning into the Nayzaga. It doesn't do any damage as far as I've seen, because nobody was dumb enough to stand between the two. Now, well, actually, that's not entirely true, because when the Nayzaga gets Thunder Charged, if you're right up against it, if you're still attacking it, you can get hit by the lightning charge going through the Nayzaga's body, so be careful about that. Thunder Charge also seems to add some shock damage to the Nayzaga's basic attack, so be careful of that. This is kind of the beginning of the soft enrages you will see as we go, or the different elemental enrages that we'll see as we go along. Now, the opportunity for the Nayzaga seems to be mostly situated in the Thunder Spines, because if you break the Thunder Spines, then the Nayzaga will suffer some pretty bad feedback and get knocked over for a bit. Now, a lot of its attacks are also very similar to the Quillshot. The Body Slam, where it kind of leans away, then jumps up and slams itself sideways in the direction it was leaning away from. Its lunging swipe is a bit different, though. because it lifts itself up just a little bit and then launches forward. It's got a very deceptive range, so be very careful. Also, it seems to favor swiping with the left front leg, so it's also got a side swipe that's not quite the lunging swipe, where it kind of does the same backhand motion that the Quillshot does, where it raises one arm, swipes to the side. Basically, if it looks like something the Quillshot would do, it's probably an attack the Nayzaga can do. They're very similar behemoths. Next up, the belly crawl. This has very little tell, so you got to be watching carefully. Then the Nayzaga just drops to its stomach and starts crawling forward a decent distance before turning and crawling in another direction for roughly the same amount of distance. This does damage on contact and actually is a very strong knockback from my experience. You might have a different one, I don't know. So be very careful and avoid the belly crawl. Because like I said, that's the hardest one to avoid because it's very sudden. And then the enrage. Very similar to the Quillshot in that it just kind of lowers its stomach and roars. I think that's what the Quillshot did. Let me check. Oh wait, no, yeah. Sorry, it actually kind of hunches its shoulders. Now remember, the Nayzaga doesn't actually gain any new attacks. It just seems more likely to use Thunder Spines and Thunderbolts while it's enraged. Its speed also goes up by quite a margin, so you want to be careful with that. Alright. From here on out, folks, we're getting into some really dangerous beasties. The next couple of ones are going to be very difficult to do. I'm going to have to do a lot of training to get them ready. So those might be a little bit delayed, I'm not sure. Just because, like, the next thing I have to hunt for a quest is the Pangar, which is a very, very difficult beast to face. I'm not looking forward to it, personally. But for you guys, for the guide, for the community of Dauntless, I'm willing to put up with it. I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to fight it. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed, please feel free to like or favorite the video. You can also leave a comment down below if you have anything you'd like to say. If you want to keep up with me and never miss any of my current series, then consider joining the squadron by subscribing to the channel. It does help me out, and I really do appreciate it. But as for that, folks, I have been D. This has been the Fearless Slayer's Bestiary entry for the Nayzaga, the Thunder-Spined monster of... or the Thunder-Spined cousin of the rage monster known as the Quillshot. Until next time, folks, good night, and good gaming.